Hello? Aquaman. What's up, man? Yeah. Uh-huh. No, I didn't see no cross. Yeah, you said it's the thing that connects land and sea? It's a gold cross on a gold rope with diamonds? I ain't see it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the You Wanna Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Space Motherfucking City. Who do we have here with us today? We got Mac 10, we got Al, and if my glasses serve me correct, we got another woman on this show. It's about motherfucking time. Ash, how you doing today?
Can't complain.
Can you?
Doing pretty well today.
So it was a little struggle to get Ash on the show. She says she doesn't like talking with a bunch of men who don't know what they're talking about. So she's here to correct us today. With that being said, we'll get into our first topic. Do anybody got anything that they want to say about how their day went before we go? As soon as I get my gold chain on. No. All right. Mac, I'll start with you. First question, Mac. Now, this is a game called Plead the Fifth, right? So, you can only plead the fifth one time. So, Mac, if both of your parents were cheating and you only could tell on one of them, which would it be? Which one would it be?
I can only tell on one of them.
You could only tell on one of them. Which one would it be?
So you saying I gotta tell, or
You
you
have
like,
to. Or you could plead the fifth.
nah? Oh yeah. Damn, it's too early to use that joint. Oh yeah, I'm using it. I ain't ratting on them. That ain't none of my business.
Ash? You could plead the fifth if you want to.
Is there another question that's going to be asked where
It's two more.
my plead the fifth is going? All right, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one.
Al, I feel like I know what you about to do. Is you pleading the fifth or what, Al?
I mean, my parents wouldn't cheat, so it's irrelevant. But
Did you plead the fifth or what?
I mean, I could tell them somebody, but it's a fictional question. So I mean, I tell them my dad. Why not?
Okay. Second question. Ash, I'm gonna start with you. Name a song you related to the most when you got your heart broken the first time.
Mm.
Hey, now I get this goddamn tune.
Just off top, I feel like there's an answer better than the one that I'm going to give. But off top of my head, I would say Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, because you will survive that.
Maxon?
You know what's crazy? It's only one answer for me. I'm trying to remember boy's name though. Wasn't it Iman or E-Man? But yo, that brother was preaching, man. I felt that. I felt that to my core.
Al?
I don't know, but "Smoking Out the Window" by Silk Sonic is my shit right now. So I'll say that.
Nigga, you ain't just get your first heartbreak when Smoking Out the Window came out. Talking
Listen,
about when you was a
I don't really got a
teenager.
heart to break like that. It's all right. I'm just being honest.
Huh. You're a different breed.
I mean, that first heartbreak was bad.
I'm gonna say mine was Mario, How Do I Breathe? I felt like that was the one. Last question I'm gonna ask y'all, Mac, I'm gonna start with you.
I don't even like to laugh. Like,
Mac, who's your celebrity crush? You can be honest. You can go
hey
back in the
yo,
day, you can go down.
hey yo, come on, man. Uh, I had so many. It depends on when you ask. Shit, I'm still rocking with Cash Dog.
If you was married, Mac, and Cash Doll asked you on a date, would you go?
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man.
You
Don't do
gotta
that.
answer. You already used your plead the
Don't do
fifth.
that. First of all, You just asked two questions though. I feel like you cheated. If I'm married, first of all, if I'm married, why she asking me on a date? I don't personally know her for her to ask me on a date, so I don't like in this hypothetical. Nah, I wouldn't do that if I'm a married man.
You wouldn't do nothing, Mac?
Nah,
All right, Al.
nah.
Same question to you. Who's your celebrity crush?
Alicia Keys.
And if Alicia Keys was to ask you on a date while you was married, would you go?
Shit, I'd fight my wife and Swiss Beats on the spot. What you mean?
Ash, who's your celebrity crush?
I feel like mine is like a popular opinion. Um, I would say Chris Brown.
You know what I'm asking next. If Chris Brown was to ask you on a date, would you go? If you were
N-
married.
Not if I was married, no.
So let's get into our topic since everybody's being honest about certain things, and I like your response, right? Um, First topic let me get into, right? Are women really better at processing their emotions than men, or is it that they have this society's approval to express them freely more than we do? Mac, I'm gonna start with you.
Uh, yeah, I think society gives women a room to do it. If you give somebody the room to do it, they're gonna get good at doing it. Men, at least for me growing up, I was born in '90. For me growing up, a man was supposed to take that shit, tuck that shit, keep it moving, get shit done. So I don't think you necessarily better processing emotions just because people will expect you to go through the process as opposed to someone else. Well, you ain't supposed to.
Al, how about you?
Um, I think that it's the same question because ultimately you get good at anything that you practice. So the fact that they have the space to practice it means they're going to be better, at least at expressing it. I can't say that all women are going to always be better than all men at processing it, but at least at expressing it, they definitely have an advantage. I say that.
Ash, how about you?
So yeah, I will say that um, I do think that women are better when it comes to expressing their emotions. Now, I'm not negating the fact that men feel like maybe they don't have the same outlets as women, but the question that I think of with that is, are you seeking those outlets? Because a lot of times what I see is like men think they have a better handle on their emotions because they suppress it. And I don't think that's actually dealing with your emotions. So, I mean, there's therapy, there's other outlets in which you can express your emotions properly. So, I say women.
Ash, let me ask you a question, right? If Do you believe that a man should be head of the household not because he's smarter than women, because he has more emotional control than a woman? Like when women get emotionally upset, they make irrational decisions.
No, I think that a man being head of the household has nothing to do with um, strictly just emotions. I would think that he's a provider, he's a leader. And yes, in tune with that, I would think that he's someone that has a good handle on his emotions. But no, I don't think that's the sole reason
But that's a
that
part
man
of it,
would
right?
be.
That's a part of it, though, right?
But I wouldn't say more so than his woman.
I don't really think, just me personally, I don't really think a man and I don't really think women are more emotionally better than men are for the simple fact that y'all get to express your emotions a little bit more. And when y'all express your emotions a little bit more, that makes it seem like y'all have a better check and a better understanding on them. But in all reality, just because you're expressing your emotions and you crying does not make you emotionally be able, does not mean you can control your emotions better. We can go
So
through the same thing and I can process it and move on with it daily. You might need to go have that waiting to exhale moment with your girlfriends. I don't need that shit.
so okay, question. In those situations you speak about, just because men ignore their emotions or move on from it quickly, is that handling it? Is that processing it?
I
So
mean,
does
it's not that big of a deal
that
to us for us to be sitting down and expressing ourselves to certain people. Like if we can experience the same thing, and you might look at it. See, the one thing about women, and this is just how I feel about it: women emotions become their reality, and just because it becomes your reality, don't mean like if you're in a relationship and you can get mad at your boyfriend because emotionally you feel like he needs to be what you want him to be, and you get mad when he's not that certain thing. Do you have a rebuttal? Because you're looking at me like I'm crazy.
because I'm trying to figure out what that has to do with emotions. I think that's going more so into, you know, what you expect out of each other in general in a relationship. But what does that have to do with emotions?
Al, you got something to say?
So you said something that I want to like circle back on real quick. You basically were saying that we we can process our emotions and we don't need the space. But basically, both you, the way the question was phrased, and Mac just said that we don't have that space. So if we didn't need the space, we wouldn't actually have to draw attention to the fact that we don't have the space. We would just not need it. So I don't believe that we don't need the space one. So I think that's something I want to just make sure I say out there because everybody has emotions. And no matter what you pretend to do about your emotions, like you still have them. So we can, I will say that we are better at handling them because it's easy to suppress emotions. Like it's easy to just push them down until they come back up. So it may not be something that affects our immediate. It may not even, affect our 5-year plan. But at some point in time, those emotions will return. Like, and then that's when that becomes a problem because it's not just those emotions; it's all of the other emotions that we held on to for so long, over life and things like that. So again, I do kind of agree with Ash. I don't know if it's really handling well, it is handling them. It's not processing them because processing means that we can move past them. But a lot of times, like that's not the truth. That's why men do things out of anger, out of fear. That's why they do things when they're hurt. Like I think that the difference is that even though women may not necessarily be better at processing it in the moment, at least they express it in the moment. So it's not sitting there all the time for years and years and years beyond damaging people. Like at some point in time, they get over their emotions slightly faster than we do. If we count that suppression part.
I don't really agree with that last part, brother. Uh, I think a lot of the things when it comes to men, the main emotion we discuss where it come back later or they blow up is anger. Uh, I think that's such a big thing that we look at like, oh, well, that was a big deal. You didn't get over that. I've met plenty of women that have not gotten over things they was mad about or hurt by or angry about. That don't mean they blow up and become violent or anything of that nature, but they're not over it. That's why I say I think society opens it up to where women can talk about their emotions and not be judged by it. So it seems like they processing it. But if you've been talking about the same thing, feeling that same pain for 10 years, you haven't processed it for those 10 years. You just been discussing it. Men, on the other hand, push it down for the most part. Just because you pushed it down don't mean you processed it, but it also don't mean you didn't. I've been angry before. I said, you know what? It ain't that deep. I'm gonna get over it. I've literally forgot about it like 10 minutes later. I've been mad before where I walked around with that for a whole week. I just ain't get over it that quick. So the processor thing is tricky because that's per person. I can't really tell unless I'm like, I can't really tell if they processed it or not. Uh, Even if they tell me they did, they could be lying. Like they could think they processing it and it's bothering them. It's a tricky subject because I just think it's assumptions put out there that women are better than men. In reality, I think men and women are flawed with it. I think it's a hard thing to do because we're judged differently. So how would we be able to, how would a man be able to tell a woman you processing this wrong if he's held to a different standard? How can a woman tell a man you processing this wrong if she's held to a different standard?
So it's a lot of talk from you guys saying that women have this outlet that men don't. Men are judged. Who's judging you?
Men
Y'all,
and
that's who
men,
fucking
men, men
judges.
and women.
Y'all,
Men
yeah,
and women,
both.
men
Okay,
and women.
so you're saying that there's no safe spaces available for men to vent their feelings and emotions in a healthy space. There's not church.
I
There's not
didn't say that,
therapy.
but I do
There's not
agree that they're
safe
limited. There are
friends.
limited spaces.
Okay, like friends or brothers or like I said, church therapy. I feel like there are plenty of safe spaces for men to vent their emotions. I feel like there are outlets if you're seeking them. But I feel like with what you guys say, like, oh, well, we're judged, that you're so used to suppressing emotions and you feel like that's what men are supposed to do. That's not.
Well, so what I would say is that I do think that some of that is right, but I think that the outlets for men to express their emotions are a new thing. Like this isn't something that's always been around because culturally, first of all, especially as Black people, we already look down on therapy. So that it is actually an avenue, but it is not a popular avenue because it is something that most people have a poor viewpoint on already, right? So therapy is limited, and as men, the people we're going to interact with more than our own particular women are going to be other men. So because it's pretty much a self-perpetuating system, it's like if we're around men who aren't healed, they're not going to want to hear about us being healed. They're not going to want to provide safe spaces for us. Like I would say that I do have good friends who I can go to, but everybody can't do that. Like I've had friends that if I try to express my emotions, they're gonna try to make me clown me or try to make me feel bad about it. And in reality, the truth is they're not my friends. That's just what that ultimately comes down to. But that's the type of situation that we as men end up in. Like even if for a woman, what's more likely is you don't have to know anybody. You don't have to know the person you're talking to. You could literally share your emotions, and 90% of the time they will hear you without a much judgment. I can't say they're not going to judge you because everybody's not the same, but as a guy, I have to pick and choose the person I talk to, and I think that's what the difference is. I can't talk to everybody. I can't express my emotions in every setting because at one point in time, it's going to be invalidated, it's going to get ridiculed, and a lot of the times it's going to make my emotional state worse. Like if I'm angry and somebody makes fun of me, I have it's just going to make me more infuriated, right? So there's a lot more danger, I believe, in sharing my emotions with the wrong person, which I think a lot of men struggle with, right? Because the best case scenario is that you have a woman who is in your life that you can talk to and who's going to listen to you. But if you don't even have that, then it's a difficult space as well. Like there's not too many spaces that actually care about a man's feelings. Besides therapy, therapy is a good option. But like my brother Max says, he don't believe in therapy. So it's like,
I've never said that.
Hey,
I've
Ash.
never said
Hold on.
that.
Hey, Ash. Let me ask you a question, right? Um, would you date a man who has a lot of emotions, who's very emotional? Mm. Taking
Who's
too long to answer that.
no. Who's emotional? Sure.
Who's
Who's
emotional?
over?
Okay? Would you date a
Who?
man who's emotional like you?
Yeah.
Hmm. It's interesting.
Question. What's overly emotional? Because you was about to go into that, so I'm curious what's the
Yeah,
overly
that's
emotional.
what I was gonna say. Overly emotional, I just say anything excessive. Like if you can't just handle, I don't know, anything. Like if anything's hurting your feelings, anything's making you cry. Like if you know, I feel like it has to be something. I don't want to say like traumatic, because life gets to us sometimes, right? And if you want to be emotional, you want to express emotions, and I just want to be clear when I say express emotions. Would I date a man that's emotional like me? I think that maybe when you ask that question, maybe you picture someone that's just like cries. I feel like that's a thing, like, oh, women just cry to express their emotions. They don't. So if someone was emotional like me, that's fine. But overly emotional, I just think anything excessive. Like I don't know. I don't know if I can really explain it in a way that would make sense. But you know when something's excessive.
I mean, I guess that the only thing that makes me curious about is like I think that's us kind of saying like it feeds into what we're saying is like if we don't know how our feelings are going to be received when we share them, how can we understand if it's a safe space, right? Like somebody's overly emotional could be somebody's regular emotional level. Like there's lots of people who are dramatic. I don't think they're always overly emotional, but to somebody else it could be that. So like that's I think what I'm saying when I say like it's hard to find safe spaces because there we don't have the room to have a certain level of emotion at some point in time. Even if it becomes too much for other people, we still have to suppress something. Like we still have to hold something back.
I would say, um, just to give an example, I may or may not have experienced this. Okay, everybody has some type of thing with them. So everybody has some type of trauma, something. It's just the way in which they deal with it. But if you deal with it in a way that maybe you're crying every week over something that traumatized you, I'd say that's excessive for me. So I think when I'm answering that question, I can only go by my own experience and what would be considered excessive for me every week over one situation. Now, if it's new, different situations that are coming into play and you need to express your emotions, by all means.
Is it just crying? Like is it what if it's anger? Like what if it's like what I
I,
mean depression? Like you mean what do you mean?
as long as you're expressing your emotions in a healthy way, which some could say crying is, but again, it wasn't due to the emotion being expressed. It was just the fact that it was excessive, which was like
Okay.
weekly. But yeah, if you're angry every week, how are you dealing with that anger? Are you talking about it like, I'm angry, this is why I feel angry, this is what I'm going through? Or are you lashing out, are you throwing things, are you storming out, punching holes in walls, things like that? Like, it's however you choose to express your emotions. If it's in a healthy way and it's not excessive, I say go for it.
I wanted to add another reason a lot of men don't really hit that level is because we all know this. Either we know somebody went through it or we went through it. A woman to throw that shit back in your face later. She'll be that shoulder there today while you crying about it, but then she mad about 3, 6 months later and like, fuck out of here, bitch, da 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 da, and throw that shit in your face. That should be hard to let go of. And a lot of men got the stories of going through that, and men know men that went through that. So it's almost like, is it a safe space? Even if you tell me this is a safe space, in my mind, this is what you're gonna use later when you're mad.
I think that would go down to knowing your partner and knowing who you're dealing with, right?
Nah, people change with when emotions get involved, it can bring the worst or the best out. So
You know,
even like, I could know you, but I could also not know you at this level of anger.
I get that. I mean, I think we all run that risk of, something being thrown in our face, whether even if it's a woman and you were, emotional. We all run that risk. So I don't say, but what I think is best to do is not take your last experience into a new experience. I think it's healthy to express your emotions, and not suppress that, because you might, like Mac, you said earlier, like, oh, something, just happened and I forgot about it in the next 5 minutes. Okay, well, when it comes back up and when you boil over, your emotions, when you actually let it out, are now 10 times worse than probably if you just would have dealt with it in that moment. So, yeah.
I mean, you make a point with that. You make a point with that. I don't even really got no rebuttal off of that. I just feel like I said in the beginning, I just feel like society treats us differently, so we view things differently. I think there's a stigma on just the subject of emotions where a woman's strong for showing her emotions. She's courageous and brave and all that shit they say on the internet, but a man is weak. So I just think that shows the mindset for a man to be like, well, why would I show myself as weak? The strength is in me dealing with this and keeping moving. And once again, I'm in my 30s, so I was born in 90. I have like Al said, this is pretty new. So a lot of the way I view it from my pop was never emotional. He dealt with life. When it came, it was hard. Even if he cried, he got shit done. So my idea is, well, I got to man up and get shit done.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't think no woman really wants a man who's as emotional as her. So, Ash, I don't think you actually telling the truth on that one. But do anybody got anything else to say? We'll move on to our next topic.
Yeah, I do, since you just threw that out there. You you assume, do you feel like women are too emotional or something? Like,
At times, I feel like women are overly emotional, but y'all are women. So at the end of the day, that's how y'all design. They got a lot of estrogen rolling through y'all body. That's the balance though. Testosterone and estrogen. Y'all got more estrogen, we got more testosterone. That's what makes us different. You know,
And you say that affects emotion.
I just feel like that's one of the things.
Okay.
I
And
believe
plus, I
that.
feel like they've been trained. Like if you go back to when you was kids, if if me and my sister fell, who would my dad run to first? My sister. He would tell me, "Get up, don't cry, keep going."
But see what you're saying, right? And that's what makes what the other part not make sense is that that's not based on their hormonal difference. That's based on how they're treated by people. Like that's not a natural thing. That's a nurture thing. That's how people treat them. So I agree with you as far as people how they respond is different, but they like they're no more emotional. Like when little boys cry just like little girls cry. The difference is what they receive when they do that action. So we are taught to suppress it at a young age, but as far as the actual hormone difference, I don't think they're more emotional than men.
So you don't think biologically, that they are more emotionally designed than we are?
I don't think so because at one point in time you could literally teach a woman how to suppress her emotions as a young kid and then she could grow up suppressing her emotions.
So would you agree that women are better or are more natural nurturers than we are? Like
I
their
do
body is
agree with
designed to
that.
be a nurturer.
I,
When they
I,
have a
I think
baby, they got milk coming up them titties.
but see that's something that's affected by hormones. What you said wasn't affected by hormones. These are things that affect their body. Like that's the difference I was trying to point out. It's like there are things that their hormones affect, meaning their body, and maybe some parts of their brain that activate signals in their brain. But what affects how we deal with our outside emotions is generally our environment. Like it's not necessarily the same.
I don't know about
Your
I
whole
don't
premise
know.
from the start of the question was literally that we don't have the safe space. So that's literally what that was. Like that the safe space isn't inside our head, it's outside. Like It's how people treat us that affect how we go through our emotions. Like I said, we can suppress them because we're taught to do that. But if women were taught to do that, I'm sure that it would happen.
No, it wouldn't.
We don't know because they're not
No,
taught to do
I
that.
think, I mean, I think
Like
it could happen. So I don't
I
think
ain't got
this
no
is,
faith in that. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't, I think it would have to be a widespread thing. I think as a society, we would have to change the way little girls are raised and little boys are raised. And I think it would take generations to break, but I think it could be broken.
I mean, it
I,
can be broken, but what's going to happen, right? And it happens in
Mm.
here every now and then. Is they're going to start calling these women manly,
They calling
masculine,
them
overly
that now.
masculine.
all
They
that
calling
But
them
shit.
that's
that
why I
now.
said it's starting to happen now, right? Because as women start doing what men do, i.e., suppressing their emotions, then are being told that they act like men, right? So that's how you know it's an outside thing. It's not an inside thing. Because if they were just naturally like that, then they would not be able to fight it. They would not be able to be different. They would not be considered masculine.
What?
And it's
Hold
not.
on, hold on. What woman you know that ain't emotional?
There's women who aren't emotional. I'm not putting nobody's names out here, but there's women who aren't.
I would love to meet them one day and have a conversation with them. Cause I ain't met a
But
woman in my life who
but
wasn't fucking
again,
emotional.
I don't think there's a man who's not emotional. I
Thank
think
I
that
was
you.
about to
men are
say,
taught to suppress
Say
their emotions.
everyone is
I'm not saying I
emotional.
think everybody's emotional.
Every
I
human
think
is
everybody is emotionally immature. I don't think it's a fucking person on this earth who's emotionally mature. If you
That's
look up
not
the
true.
definition, nobody, only person that fit that criteria is 6 feet in the fucking grave right now. That's the only fucking people.
Well, read the definition then, Webster.
I ain't got it right now. If
All
I
right,
had it
shut
right
up.
now, I'm gonna read the definition.
All
But
right,
I can
shut
pull it
up.
up.
I still don't like that
I don't
word.
want to hear conjecture. I want to hear
I
I can
don't
pull
like
it
that
up.
emotionally
I don't
mature
want to hear
word
conjecture. I want to hear
because it's
facts.
like,
You
I
got
still
Fred,
don't know
pull
what
it
that
up.
means.
You
we
look it up. You
already know
brought
the
it up.
name.
This is
Pull
your
up.
fact.
But
You got it.
you want to see the definition, so pull it up.
You brought it up. That's what
But
I'm
you
saying.
want to see the definition.
Nah, I want you to back up what you're saying. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, all right.
Somebody
Pull,
posted this,
pull it right up.
somebody posted in the comments when you watching this. They gonna probably still be arguing about this.
No, no,
I don't.
no,
Next question. I'm just saying.
no. Do you got anybody got anything else to say?
Well, actually, nah.
All right, I'm gonna start this one with you, Mac. If a man and a woman had the same amount of options, who do you think will end up in a more healthy relationship first? Same amount of options.
So are we saying the men get the options that women get, like as many as the women get, or women get as little as the
They
men
both
get?
got 25 options to choose from.
That's tough. I mean, see, the tricky thing is it really depends on who is your option. I think I'm gonna be honest. That's tough. I need more information to figure out who gonna make the right decision. You got options. You gotta make the right decision.
Let me ask. I'm about to say, like, let me ask a question, right? Are we saying who's going to pick the best option for, like, the better person first? Is that what you asking?
Yeah, who's gonna pick the better option?
Okay, I think it's going to be the guy, though. I'll be real with you.
See, that's tricky because I want to say the dude, but that's almost saying I feel like it's easier to find a good woman than it is to find a good dude.
I don't know. See, the reason why I think that the guy's going to find the better option is because, like we said before, the guy's going to look for love. Like, women aren't trained to look for love first. Like, they look for lots of things, but love is not first. So they're gonna go through a lot of those options before they like. I love that guy personally. That's my personal
I
opinion.
I don't know if I agree with that, and I'm not saying
I
you
yeah,
wrong,
sure. No, I
but I
agree with
don't
that,
know if I
Al.
agree with that. And I think looking for love is how you wind up with the wrong motherfucker. I think a lot of women do that. They fall in love with the wrong motherfucker, and they find out later.
I
It
agree
don't.
with you. What
It,
you say, the man gonna find a better option first. I agree with that one.
I don't think he's going. I don't think she's looking for love first. I think the first things he's looking for are the protect, the provides, and all those other things. So people who flash are gonna pop out first. I love will become an option when she gets sick of the protect and provide niggas who are bad. Because if they're good, then she's fine. If it's but if she's gonna go through those options, the guy's gonna be like, oh, this not for me.
Okay, I get what
I
you're
don't
saying.
love her. That's what I'm saying. Like, is there ain't we're not sitting here like, oh, she has to have these things. We just want to love them. So if we find the person we love, that's gonna be the option, best option right there. Like,
So then
personally,
based on what you just said, Al, so then why do women date broke guys? if they're going through their list of options and they want the providers and all that, why is that?
Well, because, and I don't know, this might be my personal opinion. I think that they end up getting suckered, right? Like, I think that a lot of broke men do things that make them seem like they can protect and provide. Like they do the masculine bravado. They wear the chains. They wear the glasses. They wear the you know what I'm saying. They ride around in the Beamers and things because it attracts attention first, and because a lot of people don't actually understand what it takes to protect and provide beyond that. A lot of women fall for that. Personal opinion.
Are you saying
I'm
that these women go into these situations unaware that these people are broke or trying to flex?
I think a lot of times that happens. I
Okay.
think a lot of times that
it
happens.
can't be every time.
I didn't.
'Cause
That
I've been broke for a
nothing
long
is
time.
forever, but I've seen it happen so often. I think it happens a lot.
Okay.
Because a lot of
I
those
mean, what they
dudes be
call
staying
that?
in the house with they mama and stuff, and they be driving nice cars and nice kicks and stuff. And I'm telling you, like, it's in society. It's called different things, but a lot of these men don't really know how to protect or provide anything. Like,
But don't they call it peacocking or some shit like that? I heard the term. It's like you show off like you are him, and it attract the women.
it basically, right? And like
Right.
that's really a thing, and
But
it's
I
not just
think,
us. Like,
but I think in a healthy relationship, she's gonna start looking past the car and like, all right, so what is his credit score at this point? Like, once
really?
you start investing, I'm talking about we passed the dating. We talking about a healthy relationship. So now we got some time in. I've been in this car for about a year now. Where's my car? Where's
But we
our
talking
house?
about dating and going through options. Like you said, once you in, you're asking about the credit score, but that's not the first thing people are talking about
Okay, I got
dating
you.
wise. That's what I'm saying. Like dating wise, it takes a little while to really get into the financial literacy questions. It really takes a while to get into how you actually budget and things. Like that's not the first thing I feel like is we're talking about. So like I said, like me
I feel like
personally,
women today are very bold. I feel like they say that shit in the first 10 minutes.
shit, maybe.
Okay. I would like to answer the question. So I don't really feel like we can say who would which gender would pick the healthier relationship because even if they have an equal amount of options, are these people emotionally available? Are these people mentally stable? So when you're talking about getting into a healthier relationship, you can't just, oh, well, you have these genitals, I have these, so I picked the healthier option. You can't do that. What type of person are you picking? So you can't, the question can't be answered. What type of options do we have? Do we both have the option of mentally stable, emotionally available people? Like, do we have people that both have good intentions for us? Like, is that in the lineup? Do we know that? Or we're just what are we doing?
So I personally think the way he was trying to say it is it's balance. Like straight down the middle, we got 12 good, 12 bad, ranging from bad to perfect. I think that's kind of the way it was phrased. And just to even out, we all have the same equal footing. We have the same equal
Okay.
mindset approaching it. So you got people who are gonna lie to you, and you have somebody who's really gonna be there for you. And then
Okay.
it's both way like that.
So then what does gender have to do with who makes a better choice?
I think it's because the way that we pick is different.
I think that's based on the individual. I think there's some men that might pick a girl because she got a fat ass. I think that there's, some
It's
women.
girls that'll pick a man because he's 6'3" though. And he ain't gotta be shit. He's just
There's
six
also
three.
girls that would pick broke guys. Like I feel like that it's an equal amount. I feel like we gotta go based off the individual. I don't feel like
I agree with you. But I also have confidence that if you give a man a lot of options and give a woman a lot of options, women deal with options their whole life. Because men now, not all of this for a healthy relationship, but men been chasing them their whole life. If you give most men a lot of options, they never had that. And it's something about attention when you never had it, when you start getting it, I think it can be as addictive as any drug in the world.
Well, so we was talking about we healed. We not out here looking and chasing for attention. We chasing for the person we looking for. That's how I was looking at that. So
But that don't mean you damaged just because women never knock the door down and find you. Like, I ain't never go outside to get a mob chasing me like I'm Chris Brown or Michael Jackson. If that was to happen, I can't say how I would react.
Nah, but you healthily what basically what you're saying is that the nigga's gonna go crazy because he had too many options. Like
He
that
gonna run his bodies up.
that so
He
that's
gonna
not
definitely he
healthy.
gonna go
That's
dumb.
not healthy. I'm letting you know that now. If the minute that you get 10 things thrown in your face, you can't decide anymore, that's not healthy. Because that means that you really don't have a choice. You just gonna go wherever it comes.
What's not healthy about it though?
What's not healthy about it?
What's not
Be,
healthy about wanting
because
to exercise your
basically
options?
well, so again, we're talking about looking for the person of your dreams. The thing about exercising your options is not the problem, but if the minute just the presence of options changes your emotional state, then you're not
I didn't.
emotionally secure.
But now you jump into another level. I didn't say emotionally you changed. I said you never had options. Now you have options, and now you want to experience this.
So
And
you
I
trying
don't
to
think
tell
that's
me that
strictly a
you was
man
you was
thing. I
ready
just
you was
think
ready to
women
settle
deal with
down.
options more.
You was ready to settle down, and then all of a sudden you found
That was
25
not in the
women.
question. The question was
All
who
right,
would pick the healthy relationship first. The question wasn't
okay.
neither one of us is ready.
We can't answer this question. Let's go to the next one. Just keep it pushing.
I felt like y'all did.
I mean, clearly, there's a whole lot of different
I felt like y'all had
caveats.
25 minutes and y'all just answered that goddamn question. Let me answer the question. I
You've
feel
been
like
kind of
it's always
quiet.
going to be the man. And the reason why I felt like it's going to be the man is because I just feel like the man has particular things. A man is not going to play the game with emotions. A woman going to play the game with desires most of the time. Now, Ash, you said something about a woman with a fat ass. Yeah, we would love to fuck her, but to wife her is a whole different thing. We got our criteria, and a lot of times, sometimes physical appearance can help us break it, but more than likely, it's all about your characteristic traits, like your foundation, or depending on how that man was raised, what he's looking for, what's important to him.
But you don't think that women look for that same thing?
I feel like women could get, women can break their standards with money.
I feel like women run on potential too much. I feel like women will
That
see
too.
he don't got that and they'll give him a chance to develop it. If I'm looking for something and she don't got it, then I'm out because I don't know if you're gonna change.
So, what if a woman is just really into a guy for his character, his personality, his morals, his views, his religion, but he ain't got it? She should automatically X him out as an option, is what you're saying?
No, she's a unicorn. That's what that means. She's a rarity.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna accept that answer. I'm gonna let y'all
Nothing else. Speaking of things, right? Ash, I'm gonna start with you. What makes people? What are some reasons that people hold on to an expired relationship? Hypothetically, if you was in a relationship, you've been in a relationship for 8 years, the relationship was over year 5, but you're still there. What are some reasons besides kids that would make people stay in that situation?
um history, comfortability, afraid of being alone. I think it's a few things. Um I think those three things I said can pretty much sum it up if it's no kids involved. Or sometimes maybe people feel like they can't do any better than that, you know?
Al,
I agree. I think comfortability is probably one of the top ones. Fear definitely also probably number two there. But I think that this is the thing, right? Like maybe not if you've been in a relationship for 8 years and you haven't loved somebody for 3, that's kind of wild. But I would say that like you try to tell me like you would be on that bridge. You feel me? Because of how much time you put in, how you felt like it's not, we like to say, and this is where what I'm saying we can't say we're not emotional because we like to say we can suppress emotions, but if you really connect to somebody on an emotional level, it's hard to just be like nah, I don't have no emotions. Like you could suppress it. Like suppressing it is easy. But to actually process it and move on is a problem there, I would say. Like you can't just process and move on sometimes. Which is why a lot of people go back to their exes, because instead of making sure that they done with it, like and letting it run its course, they go on try to move on in a hurry, and then the minute that ex pops back up in the right or wrong situation, there we now have a love triangle or something. You know what I'm saying? So
Mac 10.
I mean, I feel like all the right answers were said. I feel like it could be a couple of reasons. I really ain't got too much more to add. I do know one thing I will say. If we talking about a long-term relationship, you'd have been together for like 8, 10 years. It's hard to leave because that's basically, at least for me, that's me saying I've just wasted the past 8, 10 years. I wasted your time and mine. It's hard to just give that up. It's like let me know I emptied the clip. Everything I had I left in the ring.
Now let me ask y'all a question, right? Um, I I'm going to just assume that everybody in here has been in a long term relationship. With y'all being in one, right? Do you think that at a certain point in that relationship y'all lost sight of who y'all was? Ash, I'm gonna start with you.
Um, I don't think I ever would say that I lost sight of who I was, but I think maybe at a point in time you'll amaze yourself with what you will settle for. Um, in a long term relationship because of, comfortability in history and such things. Um, but no, I don't think I lost sight of the person I was, but I knew that I was settling for things that I wouldn't normally settle for.
Mac 10, you ever lose sight of who you was in a relationship?
See, is where I'm at now. I would have answered that before. I won't answer now. I don't think I could lose myself in a relationship, in a long-term relationship, because we constantly growing and changing. We're in different eras and different seasons in our life. So if I got into that relationship in my 20s and now I'm in my 30s, I can't say I lost myself. I'm a new person. I grew, I changed, and some of that change may be for the better or for the worse. Some of that change may be because of her, or maybe just because of life. So I can't say I lost myself as much as I just grew to another person.
Al, how about you?
um see, I don't know. My perspective is kind of weird, right? Because I think that part of the reason why my long term relationship ended was because I could not lose myself. Like I'm the type of person, I think of any type of relationship as an investment. So I might have been too understanding of the other person to the point where I was willing to compromise a significant amount of things, but never who I am as deeply as I am. Like I know who I am so deeply that, like, even if I'm willing to let it bend a little bit, at some point in time it's gonna bend back and it's gonna snap back like a rubber band. Like it's no matter how far it goes, because I know who I am. Like, and that's the difference there. Like for me at least, like I'll rather be alone deep inside of my mind than to let myself end up being somebody I'm not. But I am always willing to compromise. So that's where, like, I'll sit somewhere and compromise for a while, because I understand that people have all types of things going on with them. Like, and sometimes you can be going through something with somebody, and you have to accommodate them because that's what a relationship is about. Like you're trying to accommodate them, you're trying to understand, you're trying to see if you can fit with them. So I think that all of that requires parts of you to change and adapt. But who I am at my core never changed.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think there's a thing called too much compromising in a relationship?
I mean, it depends on who you are. Like at one point in time, it's like saying, is there too much money you can put into an investment? If the investment hits, then there's never anything too much you can But part of an investment is a risk reward. Like if you the same risk you take to get the reward, you can fail. Like now the problem is if you keep failing and you keep investing in it, that's no longer an investment. That's a money pit. Like you're just wasting your money.
Ash, how about you? Do you feel like it's a so-called thing of too much compromising?
I feel like as long as you're not compromising on your morals, your value, your self respect, I feel like feel free to pour into your partner. But then I agree with what Al said, like too much compromise, that's not an investment any longer. So but yeah, I think as long as it's not going against your core of who you are, go for it.
Mac, I'm gonna switch the question up with you, right? What if the woman that you with is trying to turn you into a completely different person, but it's not nothing to negatively affect you, but to positively uplift you and help you reach the ultimate pinnacle of the person that you can be? Do you think that that woman should stop trying to do that, or do you think that um that woman need to go find somebody else?
I mean, the truth of the matter is, if she's trying this and it's not working, and I'm telling her I'm not gonna make that change, then she should go find somebody else. Because at this point, she's wasting her time. Even if it is for the better, at what point? All right, let's say I'm in the streets, I'm selling drugs, I'm doing shit like that. She's telling me get out the streets. How long are you gonna stay here asking me to do this, endangering yourself, your kids, your family with the lifestyle I'm living? If I'm not gonna make the change, how long are you gonna endure this lifestyle? Because that's what you signing up for. You signing up for this lifestyle until I change. So I would hope that I would be willing to make that change. But I also realize, like, if it was me, I would want her to stay for me. That's me being selfish, thinking of myself. If it was my sister, I would want her to leave him, because that's me thinking of my sister. You get what I'm saying?
I understand 100% what you said. Do anybody else got anything to say before we wrap this show up? With that being said, thank you for tuning in to the You Wanna Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Space City, aka originally known as the Ruler Shaboom. That's
Hold on, hold on,
Al.
hold on, hold on. Let me pause you real quick. Why don't you share your opinion, brother,
On what?
on the questions you just asked? Any of the questions?
You
I
definitely
can't
didn't
remember the
answer that
questions
last
I asked.
question.
Well, you wrote it down, so it's right in front of you.
I can't remember them. I just threw them off the top of my head.
Yeah, I bet.
But with that being said, that's Al. That's Al the Interrupter. That's Mac 10. And that's Ash. Thank you for tuning in.